Welcome to the Look Good, Move Well podcast.
Rock and roll.
Okay.
We're back.
It's your turn for the banter topic.
Yeah. We were just commenting that somebody in the CrossFit space, an athlete we both like, posted that they had a baby yesterday. Mm-hmm. And it's like nobody knew.
Yeah.
What an anomaly in this world of social media where like everyone posts everything about their life before, during, and after when it happens, and here we were like, you had a baby? That's like 9 months of like not telling anybody.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
How close do you feel like your social media is to your real life?
Like the feed posts are just like me training, which happens every day, but I'm a little bit more dynamic than just
working out,
the shirtless exerciser. My stories, they're highlights for sure. I don't get a chance, like on a day like yesterday where I was putting in a lot of hours of like focused work on the computer. I'm like, I was like feeling down that I didn't like post anything or share anything about my life, which was, I don't know, just was like, I feel like I got to be a little bit more real with like, hey, this is what's really going on, not just the highlights of what's happening.
Yeah.
How about you? I mean, we get to see you do a snatch every couple days in your basement or at the gym, and
I don't share anything in my life on Instagram. Yeah. I'm a closed book. No, not in real life. I don't mind sharing details, but there is something about taking that extra step to just put it all out there where I'm just sort of like, I'm busy.
Yeah. I just think I decided a while back that like sharing parts of my life was going to be the best way, was like one of my tools for teaching people.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's kind of how this all started, was just, I could probably go back to like, my athletic background helped pave the way for this, my education, but it was when I started writing about what I was doing with training and why I was doing what I was doing with training on a very, very crappy blog before there was social media or before there was Instagram and most of the other platforms, that like built this, built what we're doing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I find it still to be like the thing that I like to do, I want to do, and maybe one of the tools I have. Mm-hmm. And yeah, like, hey, it's his private life. He doesn't have to tell anybody that he's having a baby. Like, but like, there's a lot of people that follow him that have kids or are having kids or want to have kids, and they want to know, whoa, like you're a freaking professional athlete. How are you doing that? What are you guys going to do? Like, and it's not for him to like, he doesn't have to tell anybody, but there could be a very powerful, sharing opportunity there to give people, an example of, or see how to navigate, challenges or that part of life that admire him and look up to him and respect him.
Yeah.
I'm not telling him to do anything. I think congrats on the baby. Yay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm more talking about myself. Like, hey, I have these obstacles and these things that I might face in life, and, people trust me and respect me. And this is what I trade a lot of my time in life, in return for like building a living. So this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah. I have had the impulse to share more of my thoughts around marketing because I think about a lot of topics that I find super interesting, but you never know how things will be received, but that shouldn't stop you from sharing them. Yeah,
no, I mean, it could, and it can stop people from sharing it. And it's never easy. It's not easy to do it. And you have no obligation to do it.
Right.
But you're right. It would help a lot of people. For sure. Or forget a lot of people. It would help somebody.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the attitude I try and keep, is like, is this going to help anybody right now? Like, why am I doing this? Am I just what am I posting this for? Anyway, that was a lot of banter. Holy smokes. What
Oh
are we
my
talking
God.
about
Okay,
today?
what are we talking
We got
about?
a lot of requests. That was 4:42, 4 minutes and 42 seconds of banter. I could do 2 Frans in that time. Double Fran. Double Fran. If you don't know what that means, that is not a sexual term.
Okay, on to the topic.
We got a lot of nutrition topics or nutrition questions. And so we might kind of rapid fire a few things today.
Yeah. Well, I think we should start with yucking your yum.
Yeah, absolutely. Yucking the yum.
Yeah.
Satya is going to take credit for this one, and she should. It's a great line. It's a great saying. You know, ew, that's gross. Like, yo, don't yuck my yum. Pretty food versus functional food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they could be the same thing, but like people know, like, hey, ooh, that looks really appealing, right? We eat with our eyes, we eat with our smell, all of our senses. Like that is what the whole industry, food industry, is built on. It's like, does that look appealing? Does it smell? No. Now it's, taste, right? And there's like the textures, and there's all kinds of feelings and sensations that we get from food. This is how the industry is, making money. It's also how like nature, and evolution like occurred. Like there's a reason why fruit is colorful. You're supposed to go eat that because, it looks, oh wow, that looks beautiful. I'm going to go taste that, right? That's what the plant wants you to do. It wants you to eat the fruit and then go poop the seeds out over there with some fertilizer so it grows into another plant, and hey, they're winning. But it's like, it's gotten like out of hand where it's like, unless it looks a certain way, unless it smells a certain way, unless it has like a particular like, texture to it, it's gross. Ew. And so much of that is at this stage in society, in the world, is just learned. And it's not even learned. It's like we're brainwashed to think that that's the way to do it, and we could take something, a concept as simple as like, offal, organ meats, like the innards of animals. If you go to other countries and you say, hey, like, let's have this liver, they're like, great. Let's have some tripe. Let's have some tripe soup. Yum. That's great. You put tripe soup on a table and you tell everybody what it is at like a business meeting in, like in the San Francisco, office room. They're gonna be like, ew, that's gross. Like, you're going to feed me stomach for lunch? That's disgusting. And it's like, what? Like, how did that happen? Oh, it happened because of, all these groups had their interest in selling these commodities or these things that, they could make a profit on, and that they could make taste a certain way, and that we were conditioned to like and not be exposed to other things. And, there's class stuff over the years.
Right.
It was like, hey, if status was connected to eating certain types of foods, and other types of foods were connected to lower status. So there's just so much there. And I get these comments on pictures of food that I've posted recently that are like, ew, your food looks kind of gross. Like give me the barfy face. And it's like, most of the time your food looks gross, but that actually looks good. And, ew, that's disgusting. How can you eat that? Or, and then the same picture, someone's like, oh man, that looks awesome. Like, wait, what is that? How do you make that? And so it's just like there's a lot of differences of opinion, but, the response that I'm giving people lately is like, hey man, like, don't yuck my yum. Like, this is what I'm eating. This tastes good to me. This is like, and my idea of taste and what tastes good is informed by not just like what my taste buds are telling my brain, but how it makes me feel, what I know it's going to do for my body. It's like, it's a complicated, complex equation. And I'm not just after pleasure from salt, fat, acid, and sugar, like the things that like get people, their culinary boners.
Culinary boner. That's going to be the title of this episode. For sure. I think a lot about the disparagement to curiosity principle. Shout out to Ramit Sethi for this one. But it's basically like you could just be like, oh, not into that, the disparagement. But you could stand to gain a lot by transforming that into curiosity. Like, like that guy looks pretty good. He performs pretty well. He seems pretty healthy. What does he know that I don't right now about eating this stuff?
What's this thing that Ramit Sethi said?
Disparagement to curiosity principle.
Yeah, that's how I have approached the health and fitness world since the beginning. Mm-hmm. That's kind of like the topic we were discussing around, like, I don't know. I just find some parallel. I could be way off here, but you're like, oh, that dude's like, he's on drugs. So like, I'm not going to listen to anything he says. Like, you are that you're going to just suddenly write off everything that person does because they maybe took PEDs. I'm like, I'm listening to this person because maybe they didn't, maybe they did, but they're saying something that's really, I got a lot of curiosity about what they're doing. And I'm going to go into it with an open mind and also be a little guarded because I don't want to assume that something's working that is being supported by something else. But yeah, same thing with food. It's like, Anthony Bourdain was like this, sort of a hero of mine in a way. And he got to do something that looked really, appealing to a lot of people, which was travel around the world and eat cuisines from all over the place. And, it started out him going to kind of like, the Far East and like really getting into like, Eastern cultures and food that is very different than what you see here. And a lot of things that are, oh, wow, you're eating a beating heart out of a cobra. Like that's really strange. Mm-hmm. But it was like, he had this deep curiosity about like, what are people doing? And, lo and behold, it's like he got to taste some of the most incredible things of his life because he was open to trying something that didn't look good to most people and probably would have gotten thrown out by the average American who would see it and think it was disgusting. And I took that attitude, like I just was like, he's doing it, and I admire the heck out of him, and I want to do that. I remember going to Singapore after watching his show and be like, I'm going to the Soup Tulang shop where they make this bone soup with the red fire sauce, and I went to the same hawker stall. I walked like over 2 hours to find it in Singapore with my buddy, my roommate from college. We get there. I'm like, yes, let's do this. This is going to be great. Like, Anthony Bourdain sat right here. This is great. I took my first bite. It was disgusting. I was like struggling. I was like, oh shit. Like, I don't like this. I'm gonna soldier through it. And I finished the whole bowl. But I mean, I was at least open to it. Like, I gave it a try. And you know what? Like, that was my first time eating like a bone marrow soup. And now what do I eat every day? Bone marrow. That's good.
It's just straight out of the freezer.
Straight chalk.
Okay. Anything else you want to add on yucking someone's yum?
Well, there's also food, like food doesn't have to look good to taste good.
Yeah.
Right. And I used to, there was this period, we all went through this thing called, the COVID-19 pandemic in our own way.
I remember that.
Yep. Well, I had not a lot of time on my hands. It was just a different pace of life. And I was up every morning and my kids slept all the way until they needed to get lifted out of the crib. We had cribs and they didn't leave. And I had this time in the morning and I would really get I had the new camera and I was taking pictures and I was plating up these nice meals and it was a ton of work just to eat breakfast. And I did it. And I took fancy pictures and I was thinking about menus and I would get the colorful book and put the coffee cup next to it and the bag of coffee. And I would, all this energy to like present this beautiful thing. And people were like, wow, it looks amazing. Oh my God, it looks so good. Oh my God. It was basically the same food I eat today. I just don't take an hour to plate up my breakfast and to like get the lighting right and to like pull out the ring light and plug it in and shine it and get my nice camera out and take the picture and then take it back to the computer and edit the picture and then put it on my phone and then post it to social media. I just don't do that because it was like a fun project.
Mm-hmm.
People love those pictures. Like, oh, it looks so good. Like, yeah, it's the same thing I'm eating today. I just throw it all in a bowl now.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Salsa on top.
Put some salsa on it, okay? It's meat. A little flavor on it.
Yeah.
Some vegetables and fruit. That's it.
Yeah.
We're good.
Don't fall for the Instagram photo.
When Nate starts coming over and doing the photo shoots for the food porn shoots, then we'll get you back to the sexy looking pictures. All right, that's it.
Okay. Well, let's do some rapid fire.
Okay.
Number 1, what do you do when you need to eat more calories?
Great question. So calories, for those people who are actually like under eating, we have to start thinking about like what kind of foods fill you up, and let's make those be like the things that you eat last in your meal. If you're like, let's say you trying to get your veggies in and, you know, some fiber and some protein and some starch. Let's say the first thing you eat in that meal is like your vegetables and you're like, oh, I'm kind of full. And then you're like, I don't really want to eat the rice. I don't really want to eat the, you know, the extra burger patty that I need to eat. It's like, okay, start with the things that are going to be like, you know, digest quickly, like don't fill you up too much, get you a lot of good like calories in. So you can partition your calories within a meal to make sure that you don't overfill yourself with like empty calories. Because if you need to eat more, you got to eat more calories. It's not just about like getting more like fiber and micronutrients in. It's about getting calories in. Picking really dense things to eat. And it's like, man, I really am having a hard time eating this much chicken breast. It's like, well, eat some like 85% lean beef. Like 4 ounces of beef is going to be like twice the calories as like 4 ounces of chicken. And you're still getting a lot of protein. So that's another great way to hack the calorie thing. Another one that like really works well is liquid calories. Mm-hmm. And, you know, if you have like an 8-ounce glass of orange juice with each meal in a day, you've just added maybe 300 to 400, maybe 500, 300 to 400, 500 calories to your day. And that absorbs and digests super fast and won't fill you up at a meal. Other things that I've seen are like, you know, the like don't drink water or any liquids at meals. That's another hack. It's like when you drink water at a meal, you're just distending your stomach, and that's making it, you know, making your brains think you're full. So just keep all liquids outside of meals, or eat your meal and then drink the orange juice at the end of the meal or something like that. Adding in some, you know, liquid calories during your training session. So instead of just drinking water to hydrate during training, drink Gatorade or drink a sugar, you know, beverage so you can get an extra carbohydrates that way. And then, you know, adding quality fats to meals. You know, it's like, oh, I had my meal. If you melt 2 tablespoons of butter on that, that's not going to fill you up in the meal. It's going to just add calories to your meal. And then maybe the last one is, I know Stan Efferding says like if you're going to eat a starch, let's say you want to have white rice. We have a lot of people eat white rice and they love it. If you get sushi rice, that has sugar on it. You can make sushi rice. You can basically take your white rice and then buy powdered dextrose, which is like just straight sugar or straight up glucose. And then you can just pour that onto your rice. And it's like, you just made that thing more dense. So those are a couple hacks.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
What do you do about nighttime and nighttime binge eating?
Yeah, nighttime binge eating, or the people getting off shift work and being really hungry and wanting to eat a lot at night. Here's what I know about that cycle that people get into. What do you do the morning after you binge eat at night? Nate coming in through the wind. Nate says quietly, poop. Big binge eat, poop. After you poop, you tell yourself, well, I don't deserve to eat.
Right.
I ate last night, so I'm not gonna eat this morning.
Definitely not eating breakfast.
No, skip breakfast, and then I'm gonna have a little tiny lunch. I'm gonna have a little salad. Okay, back on track. Okay, dinner comes. Oh, I'm still hungry. Oh, I need more. And then back to binging at night. I suffered from this in my like that phase of life, like right after college, where I was just in a kind of a bad place for a period of time. But I remember I was in that same cycle. I would binge eat until like 1 a.m, like fall asleep on the couch. My mom would have to like come and like be like, it's time for you to go to bed, like go down to bed, and then like wake up, be like, oh, feeling like shameful, shitty. I'm like, I can't eat anything. I'm not going to eat anything. Go work out super hard, like sweat it all out, like come back, have a nice solid dinner, and then be like, I'm hungry, And I was just like jars of peanut butter into my face, like literally an entire jar of Santa Cruz peanut butter every night. And it's a vicious cycle. So it's like, how do you break that? How do you get out of that? Well, not everyone is just in the cycle of binging and then trying to fast and binge and fast. They're led to believe that they need to eat really, really restricted caloric diets. Hey, these are your macros. Like, I got a DM this today. It's like, hey, I'm really dialing in my macros and I'm great for 4 or 5 days. And then I'm just like so hungry that I just like eat so much. And I'm like, I got to start all over again. I'm like, oh, then they worded it like this. I'm nailing my macros. I'm hitting my macros. I'm like doing something right with my macros. I'm like, your macros are wrong. I'm sorry, but that's not right. Like if you are hitting such a deficit after 4 or 5 days that you're like in starvation mode, like we've overshot. And it kind of is the same thing as like, I'm just going to fast all morning. I'm going to intermittent fast, and then I'm going to binge at night. And it's problematic because you're starving yourself in the early part of the day. And so this is when we come back to like, eat a big breakfast with lots of protein, eat a big lunch with lots of protein, drink a lot of water, eat a moderate dinner. Like you fill up your tank early in the day. You don't want to binge at night. You're satiated. Like you're full. Try and get yourself to a point by 4 p.m. in the afternoon where you're totally full. You don't want to eat. Trust me, that amount of calories is much less than what you're binging on excessively at night at a time where you're not really in a position to like use the energy for anything productive. So that's the hack. And if you're a shift worker, it's like you got to get your nutrients in earlier in the day. And if I would also imagine that as a shift worker, you get done if you haven't had access to food for a period of time and it's late and you're like really hungry, which you might be because you just had this work window that you couldn't stop and have a lunch break or whatever. Then if you leave your job without a meal prepared and ready to go, that's like of quality and the right types of things that you should be eating, you're going to reach for bad stuff because that's what's going to be convenient. And so if you're in the camp of like, I get to late night and I don't have anything good lying around, I just finished a 10-hour shift, or I get to like the early hours in the morning and I'm just getting off work, like you got to have something packed and ready for you that's going to fill you up with the right nutrients so that you can immediately go to bed, because that's what your body's really craving at that point is sleep. And other things that impact late night cravings is sleep deprivation. You're not sleeping well. Well, that's another problem of late night eating and binging, is that the quality of your sleep there, like soon after, because I imagine that you're eating right up until bedtime. It's like I'm eating, and then I just pass out. And your nervous system is in not a great state for getting good deep sleep. when you're having to digest lots and lots of calories. And I know this from when I would wear my Whoop, and I would eat late night, basically eat within 1 to 2 hours of my sleep, versus my typical days where like I would stop eating about 4 hours before we'd go to bed. And my respiratory rate would go up, my heart rate would go up, and my HRV, the heart rate variability, which you want higher, would drop. It would tank every time. It was like, and these were also symptoms of COVID.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh shit, I think I got COVID. It's like, no. I just ate that big thing of popcorn and chocolate bar right before bed, and it messed me up.
What do you do if you just love beer?
Here's what you do. I think this is what I would recommend. Don't mix it all up with eating. Like, eat a meal, then shut off, like you go into like a fasted state, and it's like, okay, I'm going to go drink. I'm going to have this poison, put it in my body, and let my body, my digestive system, my liver, just deal with it. Not have to deal with pizza, and all the other foods that you would typically have with your beer. That's how I would approach it. Just, okay, you're going to have your alcohol, then drink it and let your body start working immediately on detoxifying it and enjoy it. And, which I know is unrealistic for a lot of people, because they want to have a beer with dinner, or they want to go out and have drinks and, with their meal. And, I know that is, from a physiological recovery standpoint, it's a lot harder, because your body's like processing like proteins, fats, and carbs, and your liver is packaging, all the different LDL, VLDL particles that it's going to send out to the bloodstream with all this food and nutrients that are coming in. It's doing first pass metabolism on your food, plus it's also doing first pass metabolism on this alcohol that's coming in. Now I got to deal with alcohol, ethanol in my system. Like, it's, your liver's, it's very capable, but why overwork it in those situations?
Yep. How do you get on a good poop schedule?
You eat at the same time every day. You wake up and go to bed at the same time every day. You just create rhythm. Like, your body is going to know when it's time to poop, because it gets a nervous system signal that comes from rhythm and comes from you doing the same thing. And that's connected to our circadian rhythms, which is dictated by how, which in part is supported and kept consistent by us getting exposure to nature and exposure to the outside world, where the sun is really the thing that's going to trigger and guide our circadian rhythms. So this is like our internal clock that's supposed to match the rotation of the earth, like when it's light, when it's dark, when it's light, when it's dark. So the more you can create rhythm and consistency in your behaviors of when you eat food, when you get your morning or afternoon sunlight, or just exposure to the outside world, when you do your exercise, like all those things help tremendously. If you're very inconsistent, if you're, eating late one night and then eating early and then skipping breakfast and then having breakfast and then, training in the morning and then training late at night, and you traveling through different time zones and, staying indoors for 3 days and then going outside finally, and it's that becomes, your body's like, I don't even know I don't know what's going on. This is not a good time for me to go and sit and have a poo. Like, seems like something bad's about to go down right now. We're on
high alert.
Yeah, we're on high alert right now. I think the tribe is like, we're nomadic right now. We're trying to move around. We're trying to find safety, and you don't want to be pooping when you're like in a tense situation, So anyway, that's my and take it from a guy who had, a lot of issues with constipation and irregularity through the very, very stressful years of my life, from like 21 to 24 years old. And I was not practicing any of that stuff, that I just said. And I was maximally stressed, and I won't share with you the routine that I had to go through in order to have a bowel movement, but it was stressful and not pretty, and supported by a lot of pharmaceuticals and over the counter meds, and and the list went on.
Okay. What's the deal with things like peanut butter? It's like, is it a fat? Is it protein? How do you wrangle that into your macros?
Well, I think I'm just going to take a stab at this one because I'm not sure. I don't think either of us know exactly what the point of this question was. I saw the question too. It's basically like, so what's up with peanut butter?
What's the deal with peanut butter?
What's the deal with peanut butter? I do get the question a lot about macros lately, DMs, and it's like, how do I hit this? How do I hit that? And it's like, what's the best macro split? And I think people are starting to realize, like, hey, macros are a little overhyped, right? It's macros are just like a slightly more convenient way to count calories. It's like, oh, if I just know my macros, I can just try and hit those numbers. Like, trying to think about 2,642 calories is a little bit more intimidating than just being like, oh, I got to get 100 protein, 100 of this, and 50 of that. Okay, cool. I can deal with those numbers. They're a little smaller. So macros are just they're kind of a proxy to calories. The macro that's most important for most individuals is protein. So we're trying to get grams of protein, and anything that has calories in it should be like calculated in its entirety towards your total caloric goal for the day.
Yeah.
And peanut butter is, here are the issues with peanut butter that people have. They think they're eating a tablespoon of peanut butter and they're eating 3 tablespoons of peanut butter. So
guilty.
Jar of peanut butter a night.
That's a serving, one serving.
It was one jar. I had one jar. Maybe I dipped into the second one just to get it ready for the next night. But
you have to warm it up a little.
I had to get the stir.
You had to stir it.
Stir and the oil separates, right? So it's something like peanut butter where the serving size can vary so easily and have a significant caloric implication for the person. Implication. It just can fuck up your calories. You get a lot of calories real quick. You want to be a little bit more precise with something like that. And that's why I don't think, I don't use volumetric measurements for any of, whenever I'm weighing and measuring, they're just not accurate enough. It's like someone gets one of their tablespoons out of the drawer and they fill it up with peanut butter, and this person fills theirs up, and I put them on a scale and they're off by 10 to 14 grams. Well, guess what? That's a half a serving. Like, that's 60 calories or 70 calories just by eyeballing it in an actual tablespoon.
Right.
So we use a scale as if you want to measure, like if you want to be precise.
If you're doing it.
If you're doing the thing, right? If you're going to that's what we always say. It's like, if you're going to do the thing, then do it right. Like, don't waste time and energy measuring to get inaccurate measurements. Like, if you're going to go 8, if you're going to take 8 of the 10 steps, like, take the extra 2 to make sure it's right. So use a scale and use grams. A tablespoon or 2 tablespoons of peanut butter is 32 grams. So just weigh out 32 grams and you're going to get the right measurement every time. And then, are there grams of protein in peanut butter? Yes. Should those count towards your macros, your peanut butter, or your
peanut butter macro?
Your peanut butter gram? Your peanut butter macro?
My peanut butter macro?
What's my peanut butter macro, Coach? I see protein, fat, and carbs, but
there's no peanut butter macro.
Where's the peanut butter grams? That is definitely clip it. Okay. You got to hit your protein grams, 180 grams of protein a day. There were 10 grams of protein in peanut butter, but peanut butter is not really a protein source. It's like, but they count them towards it, right? And at the end of the day, would I want you to get the majority of your macros from a higher quality protein source? Yes. If you had 180 grams of protein just from the peanut butter powder stuff, that wouldn't be ideal. You would be missing a few essential amino acids. If you did that every day for months on end, you might run into a deficiency and you probably wouldn't feel optimal. But hey, like, I don't think that's what's happening out there. So just count it towards your total. It's like, do you count the protein in Brussels sprouts towards your total? Yes. Like, does it make up a significant percentage of my total? No, it doesn't.
Yeah. All right. Any other rapid fire nutrition questions you wanted to touch on?
No, I will say if anybody is we got to put out, you know what we got to do?
What?
It's time to start, because this is going to come out after we've already gone to Sweden, so I can't even ask people to send in their recommendations, but we got to get on the gram and just blast it. Hey, we're coming to Sweden.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody out there is going to treat us to some good peanut butter. Where can I get my peanut butter macros in Sweden? Is there a country specialty?
I definitely plan to sample a lot of the local cuisine. I'm planning on a kanelbulle count, which is like, you know, the cinnamon buns that you can get.
Oh, right.
I'd like to have a significant number racked up by the end of our trip. So.
Well, I hope Carl, Ice Cream Carl,
come through.
Comes to see us. Yeah, he's in.
He's a legend. Speaking of adding calories.
Right. I can't remember what city he's in, but he's out there.
Come find us, Carl.
He's Swedish, you know. He's cool. Yeah. He'll find us. Okay. Good episode, everyone. Nate, way to go. Way to not knock over any water this time. And Nate with the call out. Poop. See you next time, everyone.
We'll see you.